Hello and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. On today's program, we will catch up with Sue Chandler from Dove. Domestic violence ended here in Quincy for an update. First, though, we do check out the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, overcast, kind of hazy, 70 degrees right now. Temperatures will top off in the low to mid 70s. The clouds will definitely win out today. Maybe a sprinkle, kind of muggy as well. For tonight, rather uncomfortable with high humidity, temperatures in the upper 60s near 70 degrees. A little better tomorrow, partly sunny and mild, highs in the upper 70s. And then we switch on to summer. Beginning Wednesday, looks like another heat wave headed our way for the latter half of this week, with daytime temperatures Wednesday, Thursday, Friday too in the low to mid 90s, along with high humidity. It should break by Saturday, but until then, the heat is on. Again, we have cloudy skies, 70 degrees in Quincy right now. In the news today, Norfolk County Register of Deeds, Bill O'Donnell says that there's still no community information officer in his department because the county commissioners only approved a temporary position. O'Donnell says the candidate that was offered the job turned it down because it's only funded through next June and does not include any full-time benefits. The commissioners approved the temporary position after O'Donnell sued them, claiming that they were derelict in their duty by not approving a full-time permanent position. And the commissioners voted 2-1 against the full-time position, citing an outside audit that recommended not funding the job. O'Donnell argues that position is crucial to protecting the registry's electronic real estate records from ransomware, cyber attacks, and hacking. Quincy Conservation Commission has approved a controversial proposal for a new 2-family home in a flood-prone area out on Adams Shore. The commission okayed a plan by resident Lone Doan to tear down a shed and put up the new home on Jewett Street, despite neighbor concerns that the project will create worse flooding in the area and may damage a very old sewer line. That area did experience devastating flooding during storms back in 2018, but an engineer testified this project won't create any new flooding concerns and that it meets all FEMA requirements. At-large city councilors Ann Mahoney and Noel DeBona also testified against the project. It still needs zoning board approval. The MBTA says it will increase service on the Red Line this fall. The T says the trains will be running every 4.8 minutes instead of every 5.1 minutes during peak travel times. Service on busy bus lines will also be increased, and commuter rail and ferry service may also change later in the fall. The T says that some ride trips will also qualify for a reduced rate of $3.35 instead of $5.60. The reduced fare will be automatically applied when that trip is booked. The T says it will be at 93% of pre-pandemic service this fall. State lawmakers say they'd like to work with local officials to establish new legislative districts based on the results of last year's federal census. A bill that's pending on Beacon Hill right now would allow Senate and representative districts to be established before local voting districts, creating some concern among city and town clerks that those precincts will be haphazard. Representative Tacky Chan of Quincy says that he believes the process can be done smoothly.
But the problem is that they will get the data, the city and towns will get the data so late for them to whip together precinct lines for us before November 2nd, when the law has to be passed by November 2nd. Signed into law by November 2nd to meet that residency requirement. You can have this very stringy looking strange district now, which splits precincts because the city is going to have to create their own precincts. And there's an argument saying that we're going to have to write the precincts for the city and towns. Sort of. Because if we use a census block and you have a very low number of census block that crosses into a neighboring community, the city is going to have to split that census block like they normally do.
Here in Quincy, City Clerk Nicole Crispo says she expects to add 5 more precincts to the city's polling places based on the 2020 federal census data. A Boston man's been charged with breaking into at least 5 cars parked in a Quincy neighborhood last week. Police say 38-year-old Christopher McHugh broke into vehicles parked in the Lansdowne Street area out on Squantum early last Thursday morning. A neighbor called police just after 2 a.m. to report a person was crawling through their front yard. Police say McHugh was arrested on nearby Heath Street after a motor vehicle stop. Officers recovered a pellet gun, an axe, over $750 in cash, and some personal items believed stolen from those cars. McHugh also had 5 outstanding warrants for his arrest. Coming up, we check in with Sue Chandler of Dove. Domestic violence ended here in Quincy. That's next. Welcome back. We're really pleased to welcome to the program Sue Chandler, Executive Director of Dove. Domestic violence ended here in Quincy, for a little update on how the agency's doing during these interesting times, and also some events that are coming up later this year. So Sue, it's great to see you again.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yeah, nice to have you in person in studio.
Yes.
And we've been in touch with Dove throughout the past year and a half during the pandemic, virtually, of course.
Yeah.
And your agency has never stopped, I know.
We have not stopped 1 minute. In fact, it's been busier. After the initial lull of the first couple of months of the shutdown starting last summer, things really picked up with people reaching out for help, and that's been true very steadily over the last year plus.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there was great concern, I remember, when the first kind of, shutdown, if you will, came, that victims are going to be shut in with their abusers.
Right.
Did that come to fruition?
Yes.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, especially at the very beginning when we were really on almost lockdown for safety, people were working from home or unable to work because they had to be with children and helping them with school or just daycare. For those people who had some space to be able to leave and come to the office to see us, it became difficult if there was an abusive partner in the home for them to be connected to us through phone or computers. And so we saw in the summertime people reaching out for help, but in much more desperate situations. Many of them had experienced a greater degree of physical violence, and with COVID just so limited in terms of the places we could refer people. Our own shelter was, we had moved people, thanks to the city of Quincy, into hotel rooms and then ultimately furnished apartments for public safety, where folks have largely remained over the last year. And we've been full. Most of the domestic violence shelters in the state have been full, as we are normally anyway. But just really hard to know how to help people, especially if they don't have safe access to technology to connect with us.
Yeah. Did back in this past spring, did the situation ease a little bit when things got a little bit more open?
A little, in some ways, but we still haven't been seeing people in our office.
Oh, okay.
So we were scheduled to reopen in September.
Right.
We've pushed that back
You have?
now.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure until at least mid-October. We'll just monitor things and see how the Delta variant and the numbers are looking.
It's changed the game again.
Yes,
Yeah.
it really has.
It really has, yeah. So are you doing any kind of outreach at all?
Lots of outreach.
yeah.
We're providing direct services, one-on-one counseling and support groups through Zoom or phone appointments virtually, and trying to promote the word about the organization, and that help is available through our hotline and through calling the community services office. We also have fairly robust legal services options for folks, and even though there's a lot with the courts that has still been uncertain, we are able to help people if they can access services virtually.
Okay. So you can get like restraining orders?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, push through and emergency
Absolutely.
orders like that. Very good. Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
some of the courts that had a huge backup as well.
Right, exactly.
They're back in person now for hearings like that. So
Yeah.
that's a help, sure.
Yes.
Children and the pandemic when it comes to domestic violence, domestic abuse. Sue, what have you seen in that realm?
Similar, it's been an incredibly stressful time for kids. One good piece of good news is that even though we are delaying the general opening of our services in the office, we are going to be seeing children.
Okay, because schools are going to be in session.
Right,
Yeah.
Schools are in session, and we have two different areas of programming for youth. So
Okay.
one is really for kids who have experienced abuse or are in a family where there's been abuse. So it's more of a clinical orientation, it's an intervention. Kira Bruce is our children and youth specialist. She's fabulous. And we are in September, she will be seeing people on site, mainly because it's just been so difficult for kids to adapt to a virtual world. She's been creative and amazing, and the kids have done so well. And we are just going to try as safely as possible to bring people in for on-site services with
Okay.
her.
All right.
We also have youth programming that's more prevention oriented. And that is a program we call Youth Speak that we've had since 2004 to 5. Long time. It's been really active in a number of high schools in Dove's service area, which is Norfolk County, especially the eastern half of the county. High schools, and we've done some work in middle schools. We have gotten a lot of support, financial support from private foundations and corporate funders, and also recently the City of Quincy has contributed to help us hire a Youth Speak coordinator. So Kelly Trong has just joined the Dove staff, and we are starting this fall going to be doing in the schools, as you said, they're going to be in person, so we're going to be on site doing work in the 2 high schools and all 6 of the middle schools.
Wow.
Really comprehensive prevention programming. So we talk a lot about what is a healthy relationship, what's respectful communication, and what to do if you're worried about somebody you might be dating not treating you with the respect that you deserve, what to do if you're worried about a friend who's either maybe dating somebody who's not being kind and respectful to them, or if the friend themselves is exhibiting behaviors that are disrespectful. We call it how to be an active bystander.
Okay.
And so really excited to be able to do a deep dive, albeit probably still with some adaptations this year, but really get in and help kids learn the material and the skills for how to be good educators for their peers, and then that extends to their communities, their church communities, neighborhoods, and ultimately when they leave home, how to be great messengers about this issue.
Yeah, how will it actually, is it one-on-one, or is it like assembly style, or how will it actually work?
What we do is, I'm not entirely clear about the middle school curriculum, it's still in development, but in the high schools, people can self-select or be nominated by teachers or staff to become a youth educator.
Okay.
And then we do an intensive training with those folks about the content about teen dating violence, and also skills about how to teach or educate others. So when they say for doctors, you have to learn one, do one, teach one,
Yeah.
similar thing here.
Okay.
So the greatest skills are gained when we actually are forced to teach others about it.
Yes, yeah.
So once the group in each school of Youth Speak educators is set and trained, then they'll go into the classroom and teach other students about the issue. They become resources in the school. They will create activities. Sometimes we have displays in the cafeteria at lunchtime or throughout the day. We often have brought in a play called The Yellow Dress. It's a one-woman performance about teen dating violence.
Yes.
And then there's a debrief afterwards, and there's lots of room for the teens to do programming that they think will work in their own school, so they
Okay.
can tailor it for their own community.
Okay, and I would think students would be more open to taking information and advice and guidance from their own peers
Yeah.
rather than,
Yeah.
a quote-unquote adult, if
Yeah.
you will. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure, somebody
yeah,
they
it
can
works
relate
much,
to.
much better that way.
Yeah, have had the same background, same experiences.
Yeah.
Much more effective.
Yes.
So, and like
Yeah.
you say, teachers probably learn more
Right.
by teaching than they do teaching
Yep.
to others. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids
Interesting.
are really amazing at making this, as you said, effective, getting the message out.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, in the situation this spring where there was a social media issue,
Yes.
we understand that the person who brought it to light had been a Youth Speak educator.
There you go.
So
Recognized
they-
there was a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they took action.
Well, I mean, so much of communication now is through social media.
Yep.
And given this past year and a half, even more so with the virtual
Yes.
platform,
Yep.
cyberbullying, is that an issue? Is that
Yep.
something that you're hearing about? It is.
For sure,
Okay.
for sure among teens. It is with adults also, the increases in technology, which frankly are hard as an adult who just was beyond the cusp of when this was everyday life.
Just got
It's hard-
email
yeah.
down. you know?
It's a little hard to keep up with, but for young people and adults, technology, there's lots of avenues for people to do, abusive behaviors, stalking, all sorts of stuff
Yeah.
that way.
Can you turn it on its head though and use it to an advantage?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to that, but we will get some folks back here who can talk about
Yeah.
what's being done.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, it occurs to me that folks might, we're here talking about Dove like everybody knows what it is, even though it's only been around for like 45 years or so, right?
Right.
But we should probably give a little primer as to what the mission and the goal
great
of the
thought.
organization is. Yeah.
Yes. So DOVE stands for Domestic Violence Ended, little play on the acronym there. We have been around since 1978, founded by a group of volunteers involved with the City of Quincy's Commission on the Status of Women, the St. Boniface Church at the time in Germantown, Quincy Police Department, Norfolk County DA's office, and Probation Department. And we have continued with tremendous community support to be able to provide services for victims and survivors of dating and domestic violence. And as I mentioned, in the early 2000s, developed this community education and prevention program, primarily working with youth. We do lots of work and training, education of service providers, because we know that victims and survivors may show up at places like Interfaith Social Services or a doctor's office or with a nurse practitioner, QCAP, other places where they're seeking help, and domestic violence may well be connected to the issue that they're seeking help with.
Yes.
So helping people in the community understand what is the issue, what's a good way to respond, and how to refer folks to Dove if they'd like to come to us for services. And then we can work with people one-on-one. We call it supportive counseling advocacy, to help them figure out what are their goals, how to create a safety plan, how to be as safe as possible until they decide to leave if that's their choice.
Right. Yeah.
And being planful about that if that's their choice.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. We've talked about this before. It's really empowering the victim, right?
Yes.
It's giving them the control that they've lost
Yep.
through that relationship,
Yep.
and lifting themselves up.
Exactly.
That way they're not self-dependent on Dove forever.
Right,
It's a helping
right.
hand up. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a great goal, and it really
Yeah.
is. Do you, specifically here in Quincy, as you know, the large Asian population, and has known for being kind of a closed society, especially when it comes to family issues, does Dove sensitive to that?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. We do have a Chinese advocacy and outreach coordinator,
Okay.
Muling Tsai, has been with us for the last couple of years after interning with Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center here in Quincy. And we could get her to come back on
That'd be great.
sometime too. She's fabulous. We had grand plans for her to be doing really working to embed herself in the Chinese community. She was hired in 2019, I believe, summer of 2019. It might have been 2018. We were working toward that, when COVID really interrupted that
Okay.
plan. So we'll get
Stay
back to
tuned.
that.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. There's a lot of ambitions we're putting into 2022 at this point,
Good,
right?
good, yeah. Just keep looking
Yes,
ahead, yeah.
exactly.
Did Dove benefit at all from the American Rescue Plan? Were there any kind of federal funds? That
There's some funds coming through to support the organizational work we
Okay.
do, for sure, and also, and most importantly, a number of resources for folks needing financial aid, financial assistance.
Yep.
We call it flex funds or emergency cash assistance. We've been able to help people with rent, utilities, moving, storage costs,
Right, yep.
security, lots of stuff.
Sure, yeah, it's crucial.
It's been really, really important.
Because
Yeah.
that can be a hindrance, that can be a hurdle
Absolutely.
To keeping a victim from getting out and getting help, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially
Yeah.
if they don't have
Financial obstacles
financial
are huge.
obstacles, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good to
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Yes.
very good to know.
And lots of community folks. We have, our annual holiday assistance program.
Yep.
Last year we did a gift card drive because we just couldn't do the normal holiday assistance program we've done in the past. And the gift cards that people give at that time of the year are incredibly helpful
Okay.
in December, and sometimes are able to help families stretch a little bit beyond that. And we do take those gifts year round.
Good. Speaking of fundraising, right now at least, as of this date, Harvesting Hope is planned to be in person, right?
Yep, right
Okay.
now we're planning for in-person Friday, October 29th
Okay.
at the Quincy Marriott.
Okay.
Stay tuned on our website.
Yeah.
As I said before, we'll keep watching stuff and try to be thoughtful and make the best decision for the public health and safety of everybody.
Let's hope. Fingers
Yes,
crossed,
fingers
right?
are so crossed.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did, it's not Divas Dance anymore, right? It's
No.
Let's Dance.
It's Let's Dance,
Yeah, back
Rise
in-
Above Dance for Dove.
Okay.
Yes. We made an intentional change in the name to be more inclusive.
Right, yeah.
It was our third virtual event. We've gotten more and more creative with them. It's not the same as being in person, we know, but it is what it is, and we are so grateful that people have joined along with us
Yeah.
and stuck in with us. It was a good evening.
So
Lots of dancing in people's living
I
rooms.
was just going to say, but did folks actually, put on their Sunday best?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, we had some great participants.
At least the top half.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Okay.
Lots of dancing babies dancing on hips
Yeah,
and
yeah.
kids dancing, and it was
Excellent.
a great evening.
Any thought for when the office might open to the public?
Yep, right now we have pushed it back to mid-October.
Okay.
We're hopeful. We do have masks, we've got hand sanitizer, we've got a bunch of air purifiers in the office,
Yep.
and those things will be helpful when we come back. And we're just unsure, and we want to err on the side of caution and
Sure.
safety.
All right. Website, phone numbers, we've been putting up through our conversation
Thank
here.
you.
Social media too, Sue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I don't have those off
That's
the top
okay.
of my head, but they're on our
can
website.
find you there.
dovema.org. Yep.
Anything else we should touch on right now?
No, I think we're good. I just will say we've so appreciated the support of the community over the last year and a half. The outpouring has been incredible, and it means a lot to us as an organization, and again, mostly to the folks in our care.
Sure. Great to see you. Thanks for coming over.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Another quick break on the program. Back to recap the forecasts in just a moment. Mostly cloudy for the rest of the day today. There's a chance for a pop-up shower. It's kind of muggy too. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 70s. Tonight's rather stuffy, upper 60s. A little better tomorrow, more sunshine at least. Still kind of humid with a high in the upper 70s. And then we kick off our heat wave on Wednesday with daytime highs Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the low 90s with tropical weather right through the weekend probably. Thanks again to Sue Chandler for joining us today from Dove. Thank you to our crew. Thank you for watching. Friday on the program, members of the Quincy Rotary Club are here. Don't forget our website. Go to qatv.org. You'll find our latest programs there, news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and a whole lot more too. For all of us here at Quincy Access Television, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a happy week.